Good afternoon to all viewers of TV Eskwela, especially to our grade 9 learners. I am teacher Aliana K. Albelda Gamba from Compostela National High School, Compostela East District, your music teacher for this day. Today, we will discuss about grade 9 music, other art forms of medieval, Renaissance, and Baroque music. At the end of our lesson, you are expected to relate medieval, Renaissance, and Baroque music to other art forms and its history within the era. Before we will start our lesson, I would like to remind everyone to prepare your music module for this week, as well as your pen and paper. I would also like to ask all the learners to pay attention and to participate as much as possible. So, listen attentively so you can follow my discussion. Are you ready? To assess what you know about the other art forms related to medieval, Renaissance, and Baroque music and history, let's answer the following activities found in your module. Let's start with the part 1. Matching type. You are going to match column A with column B. I will give you enough time to answer the activity. Write your answers on a separate sheet of paper. Time is up! Let's proceed to the part 2 of the activity. Encircle the letter of your choice. Just write your answer on a separate sheet of paper. Time is up! Good job! You are really familiar with the concepts of medieval, Renaissance, and Baroque music and history. Let's check later on if all your answers are correct. To give you more idea and knowledge about the questions that we have answered a while ago, let us continue with our lesson proper. Are you ready to listen? In the previous module, you have learned the musical elements of given medieval, Renaissance, and Baroque music and was able to identify and describe them. In this module, you will learn and identify some of the art forms that are related to medieval, Renaissance, and Baroque music and its history. Now, before we formally begin our new lesson, let's find out if you know the elements of arts and design. Let's have the Jumbled Bee activity. Turn your module to page 1. There are 7 elements of arts and design, and scramble the letters to form the element using the table below. Just write your answer in a separate sheet of paper. Number 1. A mark made by a pointed tool such as a brush, pen, or stick to create a moving point. What is the answer? Correct! The answer for number 1 is line. Let's proceed to number 2. A flat enclosed that has 2 dimensions length and width in many types and sizes. What's the answer? Very good! The correct answer for number 2 is shape. Let's proceed to number 3. It can be bright, dull, dark or light. What is the answer for number 3? Color. Very good. Number 4. Degrees of lightness and darkness or contrast. What's the answer? Correct. The answer for number 4 is value. Number 5. Objects that are three-dimensional, having length, width, and height that can be viewed from many sides. What is the answer? Correct! Form is the answer for number 5. Number 6 describes the feel of an actual surface. What's the answer? Very good! The answer for number 6 is texture. Last number. It is used to create the illusion of depth and can be 2D, 3D, negative, or positive. What's the answer? Correct! For number 7, the correct answer is space. Were you able to identify the elements of arts and design? Thank you for participating in our activity. Now, let's take a look. How can we classify the art forms? There are other art forms that would relate to medieval, Renaissance, and Baroque music and its history. When you think about the arts, we can directly say or incorporate them with painting, sculpture, architecture, dance, and literature. Let's start with the medieval arts. Medieval arts were represented by Byzantine, Romanesque, and Gothic era. Byzantine art made to glorify the Christian religion and to express its mystery. It was filled with spiritual symbolism and illustrated a love of splendor. It was a combination of Eastern decorative art forms and classical Western art, naturalistic art. Romanesque art was characterized by its very vigorous style in painting and sculpture, lavishly decorated manuscripts, and retained many basic features of Roman architectural styles. It was greatly influenced by Byzantine art with a highly innovative and coherent style. Gothic art reinforced symbolic meaning or serving as a representation or is something that has a greater meaning because of what it represents. Here are some examples of art forms related to medieval. This is the Byzantine monumental church. Second is the Romanesque carving. Third, the French historiated initial with men slaying a monster from a theological manuscript. And lastly, reconstruction of the Temple of Jerusalem, Burgundian miniature. Let's talk about Renaissance arts. Renaissance arts covered artworks produced during the 14th, 15th, and 16th centuries in Europe. It pertains to arts, particularly in Italy, such as sculptures, paintings, music, architecture, and literature. The common subject of this period is human philosophy. Renaissance art was characterized by accurate anatomy, scientific perspective, and deeper landscape. Here are some examples of art forms related to Renaissance. The first one is the painting of Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci. This is one of the most famous and recognized paintings in history. Next, one of the iconic paintings of Michelangelo, The Creation of Adam, is the painting on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. The third example is The Last Supper. This is one of the most important paintings during Renaissance period, considered to be the best artwork by Leonardo da Vinci in 1498. The last example is The School of Athens by Raphael. The last form is the Baroque period. Baroque was a period of artistic styles and exaggerated motion, drama, tension, and grandeur. Paintings illustrated key elements of Catholic dogma, either directly in biblical works or indirectly in imaginary or symbolic work. Sculptures were typically larger than life size and was marked by a similar sense of dynamic movement along with an active use of space. Architecture was designed to create spectacle and illusion. Thus, the straight lines of the Renaissance were replaced with flowing curves. Dance suite, a collection of dance music, was introduced and made popular in this period, such as minuet, polonaise, overture, bourrée, gavotte, jig, ragudon, and many others. Here are some examples of art forms related to Baroque. First is The Four Continents by Peter Paul Rubens, followed by The Pavilion Sully, and lastly, the Metropolitan Cathedral Church. I guess that you already understand the other art forms of medieval, Renaissance, and Baroque music. Now, let's see if you can identify the art forms of the following famous photos. Let's answer Activity 2. Let's solve the mystery. Study and analyze the photos in the diagram below. These photos represent other art forms in medieval, Renaissance, and Baroque period. Answer the following questions and write your answers on a separate sheet of paper. Number 1. Given the sample collage, can you identify the different art forms of medieval, Renaissance, and Baroque periods? Number 2. Which of those photos were you familiar with, and how will you relate those artworks with the history of medieval, Renaissance, and Baroque music? Time is up! Now, this time, let's answer the assessment test and kindly open your music module to page 6. I will give you enough time to answer the activity. Are you done? Let us check if your answers are correct. Were you able to identify the correct answer? Very good! Are you ready for our last activity? Our last activity will be the Dora the Explorer. Kindly submit your output to your respective teachers. This activity aims to discover other art forms that would relate to medieval, Renaissance, and Baroque music. Explore these forms by doing an intensive research on the internet. Gather at least 3 forms from each period, copy the link, and provide photos on your research facts and ideas. We are done with our lesson. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have learned and enjoy our learning session. I am teacher Aliana K. Albelda Gamba of Compostela National High School, Compostela East District saying, dito sa TV Eskwela, sa pag-aaral, sama-sama. Bye-bye!